In a major development in Manipur, 21 passengers, including 6 women who were allegedly abducted along National Highway 202 in Ukhrul district, have been rescued safely. Officials say that the passengers were freed early Thursday morning after coordinated efforts by the district administration and the security forces along with civil society groups. The rescued individuals were brought to Litan police station around 4 a.m. local time, while 2 private vehicles and several mobile phones taken during the incident have not yet been returned. Based on this, we are now joined by our correspondent Mubasir Raji for more details on this developing story. Mubasir, thank you for joining us.
Yes, hello.
So, Mubasir, could you tell us what exactly led to the abduction of these passengers along the Ukhrul to Imphal route?
Well, solo incident happened yesterday. The group of passengers were, allegedly abducted by these villagers, Kuki villagers. And they were later on, fortunately released. In fact, in the early morning hour today, they have been released by the intervention of Chief Minister as well as by, several civil society organizations. But what is happening in the hill area of Manipur in last few days is very unfortunate. Many things are, many things have comes up in, particularly in hill areas of Manipur, which I can only, describe as very unfortunate. People have become so insecure in many of the villages that people have to set up their own gates and bunkers, which the security personnel who are stationed nearby have objected, and they have they have been trying to remove this bunkers in many places, which led to a confrontation in many places in hill district. About this Ukhrul area also, the tension are simmering for very long time. But the Mongkot Chipo or Saikot, the villagers claim that 2 of their villagers, Kuki villagers, were allegedly abducted by other group, and in fact they are even claiming, Kuki group are even claiming that one of them are found dead today morning. However, I tried to confirm from the authority, and there is no official confirmation as of now about the death. But as far as the incidents are concerned, the mistrust between the two communities have increased tremendously in last few months or last few days per se. So as a result, people are suspecting one another at a great length. And villagers, many villagers in hill district have felt so much insecure that they have been they have trust issue between each other. So that is the main problem. But if I think the civil society organization and the government need a timely intervention to remove all the mistrust related issues and other issues. Just solo.
Right, Mubasir. So when you mentioned about the authorities, how did the authorities manage to secure their safe release this morning? Can you tell us more on that?
The authority, in a sense that they already knew that where these abducted persons are being kept and things like that. They, in fact, they are not willing to use force, etc. So they have intervened in a sense that a backdoor channel talk between the two communities were going on for at length, and civil society organizations come to a breakthrough, fortunately, and that is how they both the parties came to this agreement, and they decided to release all the 21 abducted people, and they are handed over to this Litan police, and then later on they went back to Ukhrul. That is how it happened. But since morning also, there is a report of many unfounded and founded report, of the violence and the tension. Particularly since morning, there is report of finding of a dead body, Kuki dead body, which have threatened to once again bring back to violence and the tension related. So that is how things are happening at the moment. Yes, Tolo.
Right, Mubasir. So regarding the situation, and now that the handover has been done, how is the situation on ground right now in Manipur? Like, has normal movement resumed along the highway? or the tensions are still prevailing?
The tension are still prevailing, so I must say. Unfortunately, tension are still prevailing, not only in this area, but particularly in other areas also. The mistrust between the communities have increased manifold in recent past. That tension are prevailing in the area. Even though these people, this abducted, the 21 civilians have been handed over to their respective families. They have returned to their home, but the report of finding dead bodies and all this stuff have cast a doubt in the mind of the people, and both the communities are unwilling to trust one another at the moment. So tension are still prevailing, but there is no report of violence at the moment, and there is no escalation at all. Yes or no?
So the stakeholders in those particular areas where the tensions are still prevailing, they are safe for now?
Yes. In fact, the tension were carried out by the villagers itself. So once the talk started, and once there is a backthrough in the this talk between the two sides, they will be released. It was all the people know, and they have been released now, and there is no tension at the moment in this particular area. But however, not only in this particular area, many hilly area where these two communities reside side by side. There is a prevailing tension. There is a simmering tension. Because of the mistrust issues, also there are many reports which are coming in said that particularly from the Naga villagers, they trust is to not only with the Kuki villagers but also with the Assam Rifles and other security agencies. They said that the undue favor are given to these Kuki villagers, and they have to guard their own villages, and that is as a result they have to set up bunkers. While on the other hand, security forces are security forces said that it is unacceptable for villagers to every villager in the hill to started constructing bunkers and started constructing bunkers and building these gaps at the entrance of every village, which will create law and order situation. As a result, there is a massive drive by the security personnel, particularly Assam Rifles, to dismantle this bunkers and gaps built by the villagers at different places. Not only in Ukhrul, but also in several places in Senapati, Kangpokpi, etc. So the simmering tension, since for last 1 month or so, particularly in Valley area, there is a complete normalcy, and there is relative normalcy in Valley area. However, tension has somehow shifted to the hill areas. So the reports about the simmering tension between the two communities have come up from different sphere of the state. Not only in Ukhrul, but also in other areas.
Right, Basir. Yes, so, keeping aside the prevailing tensions there, do we know anything about those responsible for the abduction? Like, have they been identified, and if so, what actions did the administration plan or are planning to take next?
It's a very small village, and villages only at the case. So, I too personally don't know, but as far as security forces, police, and other security agencies are concerned, it was not a matter of identifying, and they are also not going in that direction also. Identifying and punishing, giving punishment, etc. Somehow they felt that intervention, a lot of interventions by the security agency and police can aggravate the situation. That is why, police and even the Chief Minister yesterday made repeated appeal to solve the, problem on their own. So the concerned villagers, both the counterpart, Naga villages, the Tangkul Naga village authorities and this Kuki village authority, they have started a talk, and that is how the, things have sorted out. That is the norms, mainly in hill area, because intervention from the state government have all most of the in the past experience, so that intervention from the state forces almost, always aggravate the situation. One group always complain that, the police and security personnel are favoring other group and things like that. And, so in such cases, if, when villagers in hill, particularly tribal villages, have, confrontations happen, they mostly resolve these issues on their own. So this time as well, Chief Minister yesterday made repeated appeal to the CSO, civil society organization support groups, and backdoor channel, talks were, conducted overnight. The whole night, there was the backdoor channel talk within two communities, and they have, agreed to release back. So that is how things are. Yes, Solo back to you.
Right, Mbasi.
Yes,
so far right now, after all this situation, what steps are being taken to ensure the safety of the civilians and also the civilians traveling along this route in these coming days?
Preventive measures, preventive measures are so far, not workable in practical sense at the moment. Until and unless, the villagers concerned, the community concerns come to term, and they have, started, building this, this confidence building measures. Until and unless, the respective villagers, respective communities, respective civil society organizations come up with a plan to, start this confidence building measure, I think, the presence of security personnel in those areas only aggravates the situation. In the sense that, one or other community always alleges that, security personnel, the security agency, police force, or even other agencies are, favoring one community or other. So, the key word here is, the confidence measures, building measures should be taken up by the villagers themselves, village authorities themselves. They should start, talking to one another, and they should started this confidence building measures. Otherwise, the state government sending police forces and, or other security forces like Assam Rifle, etc., can only, aggravate the situation. People have always, expressed discontentment over, even when we arrest, even the police arrest, people for normal crime also. People have. There is a tendency for people to express, displeasure. So, but in such a, particularly in such a scenario, it will be better for the, concerned village authority to develop this confidence building upon this. Yes, sir.
Mbasi, will there be any investigation into the abduction that happened in Ukhrul district?
That particular question can only be answered by the authority concerned, the state police forces and the state government. But so far there is no statement from the state government, neither from the high-ranking official, police official, or no from the state government, home department or home minister, etc. So far there is no such statement. But yes, tension will be tension is still prevailing in the area, and nobody knows what will happen. Yes, Solo.
All right, Mbasi, although they have been the civilians who were abducted before have now been freed, but there are also updates that their vehicles and phones have not been returned. So why is this?
It will be returned. Hopefully, I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the details about why they have not given away the belongings of the particular communities, etc. But as I said earlier, if the goodwill and the goodwill talks between the two communities proceed, the things can be normalized. That is the only solution at the moment. Otherwise, after so many tension between the two community or one community or other, which had happened in Manipur, there is always a danger of escalations of violence between the two communities. To give you a brief account, there are reports of even gunshot firing yesterday also and today also in many places, even in Ukhrul and other places. So tension are still prevailing in the area. But what the state government can do at the moment is, bringing the two communities together at the tables and, backdoor channels of initiation of backdoor channels and, timely punishment of the, guilty people if required, and compensations and other other measures, other measures should be given by the state government to the concerned people. That is the thing that the state government do at the moment, as far as state government is concerned. Other than that, what is concerning is, since morning, what the community, both the Tangkul, that is, both the village authority of this Kuki village authority as well as Naga village authority are have released press statement after press statement this morning, giving completely different account. Two of their fellow Kuki members are earlier abducted by underground organizations, and when they were engaged in farming related activity, there was firing related incidents. As a result, they have to detain this. That is what the explanation they give by this Kuki village authority. While on the other hand, this Tangkul Naga village authority, they have condemned the incident in unequivocal terms, and they have been asking for the punishment for those involved in the incident and things like that. And so at the moment, both the parties are coming up with a separate account of this. As so far, no statement from the police authority. I think police, when I contacted them, police authority said that by evening we can expect an official statement from the police about what happened and what are the preventive measures they have taken. So far, no statement. Yes, follow back to you.
Right, Mubasir. Are there any more developments or any other updates that you'd like to brief us with?
The only development or any update that I can give at the moment is, after this earlier Litan incident, there is a great amount of mistrust between the community, and a small spark can ignite big violence in Manipur. So people need to be very careful about spreading rumor, as well as the state government also should intervene. The state government also need this timely interventions, and the report coming in from several quarter of hill areas has been concerning. Yes, back to you, Solo. Thank you.
All right, Mubasir. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us the updates and the latest information from Ground Zero. Thank you for joining us, Mubasir. So that was on the major development in Manipur, where 21 passengers, including 6 women who were allegedly abducted along the National Highway 202 in Ukhrul district, who have been rescued safely. But since this is a developing story, we'll be bringing more updates as we receive.